The last thing I'd like to look at in this module on phishing is creating your own phishing attack. And I'm going to do that with a service called Phish5. Now, to be clear, we're doing this for ethical reasons. And in fact, launching phishing attacks against your own organization is a great way of conditioning people such that they know what to look for in real-world phishing attacks. Now, what Phish5 does is ties the whole thing up in a service. So we're going to go through the basic setup procedures of running a phishing campaign with Phish5. We'll kick off with a brand new campaign. We're going to give it a name, add some victims, create the phishing email, and then create the site that the phished user will see if they follow the link in the email. Let's start the campaign. A campaign typically runs for one particular discrete unit of time. So we're going to create a campaign exactly as suggested here. New hires in 2016-01. We'll give it a description and again use Phish5's suggestion. And of course, in their example, they're using this as an indoctrination process. Every new hire for the month is going to get phished. Let's create that campaign. Now we need to choose who we're going to target. And in this case, I'm just going to seed the system here with some sample values. Let me paste in what I have in the clipboard. Those ones will do. Let's scroll down now and continue. We'll give it a quick test email so the service can check if emails are actually able to be received. And then I'm going to leave all the other options here as they stand. You can get a bit of a sense of what this phishing email is meant to do. It's from the security administrator, so there's a role that people would normally trust. And the subject is, "This is a security warning." Now, of course, you can customize all of this to mount precisely the style of phishing attack that makes the most sense for the environment you're running it in. For now, I'm just going to keep taking options, all the way down to the default email template they've provided here. Let's scroll down to the bottom and we'll preview the email. So this is what it will look like. This is what people will receive. And of course, what we're curious about is how many people will actually click on the link and fall victim to the phish. That's great. Let's proceed to the next step. Now, as soon as I do that, I've just received a test email. Let's have a look at what's come through. Okay, there's what the system has sent me. It looks like they're delivering email fine and I'm receiving it fine. I'm using the troyhunt.com domain because I've got a wildcard rule. Anything that's sent to @troyhunt.com gets forwarded on to my usual email address. So this is fine. Let's jump back to the browser. Here's the phishing URL that my victims will be clicking on. And this URL is designed to give them some degree of confidence in the legitimacy of the service. Hey, it says SSL, it says secure, it must be fine. We could always customize that to other options, either those built into the service or one that we could add ourselves. But for now, we're just going to run with the default. Here's the landing page, which will be placed at that domain. And again, default is just fine for now. Let's now save all that and continue. Now the message here is quite timely as well, because it's showing that pattern we discussed earlier on in the module, the one where you see a legitimate domain name at the start of the address, but in actual fact it is simply a subdomain. So more reinforcement of how effective that pattern can be. Let's just continue without customization for now. And that's it. Everything is ready to run. So let's go down and launch the campaign and see which one of our hypothetical employees actually falls victim to the phishing campaign. Now, when a campaign first starts, of course, no one has opened the emails or clicked any links. We have no vulnerable users. But I'm going to let those emails get delivered, and then we'll come back here in a moment and see what happens when one or two of our users actually falls victim to the campaign. So it's moments later and I've just seen all of these emails arrive in my inbox. And again, remember I have a catch-all domain. So I'm going to see the John and the Jane and the Mary email all arrive in my inbox. I've opened up the one that was addressed to Mary, and here we see the template that we configured just before. Let's see what happens if Mary actually clicks the link in the email. And here's what we see. That was the empty landing page template we had before. And of course, normally we would customize this and try to collect information from the victim just to test how much they'd actually hand over. This will do for now though. Let's jump back to our Phish5 dashboard and see what it's reporting. Here is what we see. We're seeing 3 opened emails, 100% success rate. And the reason we're seeing 3 opened emails is when they arrived in my inbox, I clicked on each one of them, and that caused a tracking request to go back to Phish5's service. I then opened only Mary's email, and I clicked on the link in her email, which has then resulted in this one-clicked mail status that we see here. Now, I didn't set up the phishing page in order to collect details from Mary, but if I did and she filled that in, then she would be classified as a vulnerable user. So you can see how you can identify the tiers of risk. It's one thing to open the mail, another to click on a link in the phishing mail, and then another altogether if the user actually goes and fills in data into a phishing form. Let's go and take a look at the campaign page and see what other information Phish5 has been able to collect. So here is quite a bit more information. Everything from the vulnerable browsers, fortunately of which there are 0 because this is my legitimate machine, but Phish5 does identify browsers with vulnerabilities and reports them here. We can see the links clicked and the mails opened, and then down towards the right of the screen we can see the activities. So this is the individual actions that the recipients of the system have performed. And we can see here that Mary has actually opened the mail multiple times. Just before that, John did, Mary again, and then Jane. So this whole history of interaction with the mail is all recorded here in the dashboard. If we look at the phishing results, we start to get some nice metrics over time. And we can go into browser security and get a record of who was running what, all the way down to the user agent headers that were recorded. And the user agents we're actually seeing here relate to the data source, which is mail open. And this is actually Outlook 2016. They're the first 3 records. We're then seeing a link click, which is Mary. And Mary opened that link up in Chrome. There's quite an extensive array of reports and stats that Phish5 goes into that we won't delve into here today. But hopefully this gives you a good sense of just how easy it is to set up and run a campaign. We just did pretty much all of that in real time. And there's no better way to condition an organization to phishing attacks than to actually run them ethically against the organization. And Phish5 is a great way of doing that. So that's phishing attacks. Let's go on and summarize the module.